Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Biden-A-Thon. My name is BJ McAllister. I'm the Deputy State Director for the Biden campaign in Maine, and boy, are we glad to have you here. Biden-A-Thon is an event to launch phone banking across the state of Maine. We've got great people making phone calls tonight, everyone from Governor Mills to volunteers in Hancock County to Helen Hunt herself. It's going to be a phenomenal night in Maine. And most importantly, tonight, we are the pre-program for the vice presidential debate that is coming up this evening. And let's be clear, this debate is about President Trump's administration's failure to contain COVID-19 and failure to help working families through this crisis, especially the way that they've left families behind in the last 4 years. You heard Vice President Biden say in last week's debate that the last 4 years isn't about him or about Donald Trump. It's about the millions of families who are suffering due to this once-in-a-generation pandemic and economic crisis. The same thing will be true tonight. To kick things off tonight, I am so honored to welcome a special guest, somebody who many Mainers know well. He's known for being an author, an educator, but probably most well known for being Pete Buttigieg's husband, Chasten Buttigieg. It's my honor to welcome you to Maine. Thanks for joining the Biden-A-Thon.
Thanks, BJ. Great to be back in Maine. I think last time I was there, we were at a brewery. Things are a little bit different in the world now, but I wish we could all gather at a brewery to make these calls. Thank you so much, everyone, for turning up tonight and making such important phone calls, as well as I know you're very excited to watch the VP debate tonight. I still have sort of like stage mom pre-debate nerves right now, but I am so excited for Senator Harris because, as BJ said, the stakes could not be higher, but the choices could also not be clearer. Tonight will be a referendum on this president and vice president's failures to protect American families. And I think we need to be talking about that when we're on the phone with constituents tonight, how personal politics truly is and how this pandemic has affected our own lives and our own communities. I grew up in conservative rural northern Michigan where I felt like we were not supposed to talk about our feelings and we were not supposed to talk about politics. But politics is deeply personal. So I urge you tonight, when you're making these calls, maybe get comfortable being a little bit more uncomfortable in talking about things in your own life. How has politics shaped your life? And how have the failures of this president and this administration made it worse? My mom, I know, has been battling cancer for the last 13 years. And I talked about her on the trail all the time about the importance of healthcare and making sure that every mother in this country can afford chemotherapy like my mother when they need it, that no family should drive up to the pharmacy and have to drive away without their prescription healthcare because they simply can't afford it. There are so many things in our personal lives that are at stake. I know as a married gay man myself, some of the news out of the Supreme Court this week was a little alarming, and we know that there are people in Washington right now who would gladly deny us those rights. So there are so many things at stake. The stakes could not be higher, but we have a clear choice this fall. So I hope when you're making those calls tonight, you help lay out those deeply personal things that have affected your life, and then remind your neighbors and your friends that in Maine, you can register to vote on the same day that you vote. So show up. You don't even need a photo ID. Show up. Please cast your ballot. And I hear a lot of conversation about making a plan to vote. I hope that plan involves something fun as well. I know I'm making Pete stop by the bakery on the way home from voting early next week, so we can just pick up a case of donuts just to celebrate saving democracy. So make sure that you're talking to your neighbors about making a plan to vote. You can register and vote the very same day. And from Salt Lake and Indiana over to Maine, just know that Peter and I are all with you this evening, and thank you for everything that you are doing to win this election for Joe and Kamala.
Thanks, Chasten. And I'm glad you brought up the importance of making a plan to vote. I'll admit, I'm a donut voter too. My fiance and I, we get donuts every time we vote. It's a huge part of our plan for sure. And in Maine, like you mentioned, it's really easy to vote, right? We have early voting in person, which started on Monday, right? We've got absentee voting. You just drop your ballot in the mail. And many town offices now, thanks to the leadership of Governor Mills and Secretary of State Matt Dunlap and Attorney General Aaron Fry, have drop boxes. Like, how great is that, right? So you're able to really vote easily. Now, I know you're coming to us from the debate and you've got a lot going on. Tell us, how do you think it's going to go tonight?
I mean, the choices couldn't be clearer, right? I know the senator is obviously going to be up against some sexism tonight. I've seen a lot of these opinion articles dropping where it seems that everyone's already stacking the deck against her and not calling out the sexism and the racism on the other side of the aisle, as well as the glaring elephant in the room, this president and vice president's failure to act on COVID-19. I think Senator Harris is walking into this debate, of course, prepared like she always is, just to take him to task for how he has hurt families, our own families. Now, he and this president did not take this virus seriously. So I have like the pre-debate tingles already, especially when you know that you're going in there because you're going in for the right reasons. And it's not just because, it's Joe and Kamala, but these are our families we're talking about. These are people that we know and love who have been let down by this president and this vice president. Now, clearly, this vice president is very good at lying through his teeth. So I am very excited to see the senator take him to task for that as well.
I fully agree. We are obviously eager to watch this in Maine. And I know that we have hundreds of volunteers across the state making phone calls today because they too are excited about it. And I know that you have spent time in Maine, as has your husband. And not to put you on the spot, but every time someone comes to Maine, we always ask them, are you more of a blueberry person or more of a lobster person?
Now, that just sounds like a very political question. And BJ, I don't want to get into specifics here. Oh, man, that sounds like something that you could really get in trouble for. It's like in South Bend when we ask people where their favorite burger place is. Like, you never answer that question. But I don't think last time I was in Maine, I was able to try either. So I feel like I shouldn't answer that question until I come back.
That's a safe answer, and it also will make sure that you get a lobster roll and a blueberry muffin next time you come to Maine. So,
perfect.
You got a win-win. Well, Chasten, we really appreciate you joining us tonight. I know you've got a lot on your plate, and if there's one message you want to close with the hundreds of Mainers watching tonight, what do you want to say?
All politics, at the end of the day, is deeply personal, and we have to talk to people in our own lives about what is at stake. Project Lincoln is not going to save this election. Your neighbor's yard sign is not going to persuade other people. It's not going to be a sassy tweet or a post on Facebook. It is going to be us calling, texting, and reaching out to our neighbors and our friends and our family members and telling them what is at stake in this election, especially when it is so personal. So for someone who understands full well what it feels like to have your rights up for debate and to feel like politics has more happened to you, it is so important that we talk to people about that. And I thank you for being willing tonight to have those conversations, because I know they can be really uncomfortable. And I know what it's like to dial the number and not necessarily get the nicest person on the other end of the phone. But people's lives depend on you making these calls. And so I just can't thank you enough for being willing to show up tonight, spend some of your own valuable personal time to make these phone calls to help us win this election.
Thanks, Chasten. You're absolutely right. We often like to talk about how important it is to have those face-to-face conversations, and even in the COVID era, that's so true. So Maine welcomes you, and we're so glad to have you here, and can't wait to watch the debate tonight.
Sounds good. Thanks so much again for having me, and good luck out there tonight, everyone.
Thanks, Chasten. And we're not just talk here. There actually are phone calls happening all around the state. In fact, we just launched a phone bank. And as I mentioned, because it is the virtual world, our phone banks are happening like many things these days over Zoom. And I'm excited to turn to a big batch of volunteers that we got that are just starting their phone bank shifts. Now let's go see how those phone calls are going.
Democratic Party. How are you doing today?
Hi, is this Jim?
Awesome. I was wondering
Hi, Jim. This is Shira with the Maine Democratic Party. How are you doing today?
Fabulous. So glad to hear that. You've already voted?
Oh,
amazing.
So wonderful
Can you
to
confirm
hear.
that you voted for Sarah Gideon?
You had already received
awesome.
your vote by mail
so
ballot.
happy to hear that.
Oh,
and what about
fantastic.
for
Well, that
Have
is
your
so
support?
exciting. Have you returned it yet?
Fabulous. Awesome. So you're
oh my gosh,
John.
that's wonderful. You're going to return it in one.
Well, there you have it. If people are dialing, it sounds like folks have plans to vote. They may or may not include a donut. Who knows? And although we talked about lobster and although we talked about blueberries, the next person I want to bring on knows the ultimate Maine industry, of course, is our logging industry. He is a lifelong logger, and he is now our Maine Senate President. I am honored to welcome Maine Senate President Troy Jackson to tonight's Biden-A-Thon. Welcome, Troy. We're glad to have you.
Well, hey, thanks, BJ. I'm really excited to be here too, and it was great to hear Chasten talking about how important this election is. Couldn't agree with him more, and he certainly brought a great perspective to the things that are really up for debate in this election. So that's why I'm really excited tonight.
Absolutely. And Senate President, I know that you've been a champion of Buy American policy for a long time in the Maine legislature, and there's no secret about it. The Vice President has a great plan for that. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about what excites you about supporting the Vice President?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think, having somebody like Vice President Biden and Kamala Harris, fighting for everyday people is something that I certainly feel really strongly about, can connect with. I mean, the Buy American plan is something that, we've tried to do in the legislature for a while now. I mean, it just seems to make so much sense that, when taxpayers' money is, used, why we wouldn't want to use the businesses in our state, in our country, to provide those services. It provides jobs. It obviously keeps those businesses going. There's a certain sense of pride with, the American made, the American worker. I certainly feel that. And, people that I deal with on a daily basis, everyday people, just believe in that. We're in the greatest country in the world, and why we wouldn't want to use our businesses, our workers at every opportunity. That's why I think their Buy American plan, Build Back Better, is just something that as a 51-year-old person in the state of Maine, I've been ready for a long time.
Absolutely. And I know another thing that you're ready for is to talk to some voters tonight. Like we said, people are making phone calls across the state. This is Biden-A-Thon. We're talking to voters about why they're supporting Vice President Biden, what their plan is to vote. Not to put you on the spot, Mr. President, but I hope you're ready to put your money where your mouth is and to make some phone calls. And we're hoping you might be able to make one on the line right now.
Absolutely. Love to.
Okay,
Let's see how this works.
Get you the number. Let's see if you can get it here.
Okay.
Mr. President, can you put it on speakerphone? We might want to listen along.
Nah, I think I'm there. Let's see what happens. Hello.
Hello,
Hi, is this Melanie?
this is Melanie.
Hey, Melanie. This is Troy Jackson. I'm the Maine Senate President up in Allagash. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
Oh, very good, very good. Melanie, I'm making phone calls tonight for the Biden-A-Thon telephone event. Something that we're trying really hard to obviously make sure that people across the state of Maine know how important this election is. And I wanted to call tonight, find out how you're doing, and if you're supporting Vice President Biden and Senator Kamala Harris for the election.
Oh, 100%. This is, I'm 58 years old, and I would say that this is probably the most important election of my lifetime, if not a long time. I've been working on the phones for the Democratic Party now for, oh boy, I want to say 6 weeks. I've upped it to calling 4 days a week instead of 2, and I'm talking to a lot of voters, and there's a lot of good energy out there, and it's fun to do. Not everybody is very receptive, obviously, but the people that do want to talk really want to talk, I think Biden. I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to do very well in the state of Maine and nationally.
Well, that's awesome, Melanie. I mean, really, the fact that, you're not calling it, 1 or 2 nights, but, 4 nights a week, really appreciate that, because, I mean, obviously everyday people, there's so much going on in the world today. Sometimes it's hard to, not know what's going on, not understand or see. But, those conversations that we have with people to try and, explain to them, is really important. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I mean, I know, for myself, the calls I make is exactly like that. Just explain to people some of the things that, are really, affecting us: healthcare, prescription drugs, jobs, making sure everyday people get an opportunity. So really, your work, thank you so much for that. It's really important, and we really appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. And, I'm one of the unemployed right now, so this really hits hard for me.
Yeah.
Plus, I am, taking advantage of the Affordable Care Act, and if that's eliminated, then that, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
They've got to, I have asthma, so I'm somewhat compromised. I really can't go out in public. There are no jobs. So the way I look at it is, this is my way of doing some public service in a cause that I really believe in. And, I just think that the Republican Party has gone down the wrong path. They're the party of Trump now. You used to be able to have civilized conversations with Republicans, and that can't even happen any longer. It's really a dire time, in my opinion. And so I'm happy to do it. I've been a lifelong Democrat. My father moved here from Holland after the Nazis occupied Holland, and became a physician and built a great life for us. And my mom was born in Milo, Maine, so I have a perspective from, I guess, a lot of different sides. But I think that being liberal and being tolerant and accepting people of all types and stripes and sizes is really important. And what I see going on in this country is I don't know how else to put it other than we're going down the path of fascism with Trump, and it's got to go. And Susan Collins, I've supported her in the past. No longer. Right. She has taken a turn down the wrong path yet again, and I can't stress it enough. So that's how I feel, and I think a lot of our fellow Mainers feel the same way. This is a great state. We have a great people, and we have we have a great future. But boy, oh boy, if things don't go the right way, I shudder to think what's going to happen in this country. And my kids, and I'm expecting my first grandchild.
Wow! Congratulations. I think this call tonight definitely makes a lot of sense.
We'll have a very good conversation.
The thing about it is why and these calls are important. I mean, I've been unemployed.
Obviously, this is how these calls go. People jump in and they talk about God. They're supporting the president. And more than just a matter of money, this election, healthcare is on the people are still disengaging. The Maine, because of the leadership of Democrats at the people, but it's not the people in history that is not. Now, because of we also have volunteers across the state. Next, I want to turn to Paris and making that. Sure, take it away. Sure, you know how to
Hello?
Hi, Stephen.
Yeah, this is Stephen. Who's this?
Hi, Stephen. My name's Claire. I'm volunteering with the Maine Democratic Party. How are you doing? Good. I'm calling today because, as you know, this November we have a really important election coming up, and we're going to be electing really, really wonderful leaders like Joe Biden and Sarah Gideon. So can we, yeah? Oh, you love Joe? Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear it. Can we also count on your support for for the Maine Speaker of the House, Senator Sarah Gideon, future Senator Sarah Gideon? Soon to be Senator Gideon. Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad to hear that you are supporting Sarah Gideon, and it sounds like you're also supporting Joe Biden for president as well. Oh, great. Yeah.
And I'm so excited for him to replace
I am excited. I am excited for him to take on leadership as well. We definitely need it right now. Can I ask what's exciting you about candidates like Sarah Gideon and Joe Biden taking on leadership in Maine?
Yeah, so I think first of all, that both of them bring to the table
Uh-huh.
unparalleled, given just how divided our country is right now. I mean, both of them, Joe and
Yeah.
they have a great track record of
Mm-hmm.
keeping folks together. I think that, I'm a diehard Democrat, but
A diehard Democrat. Yeah.
diehard Democrat. I understand to work with Republicans. I understand not everyone shares my views.
Yeah.
Both of those candidates understand that as well and want to be able to work with folks on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah.
And get real and necessary change.
Yeah, I love that. I agree exactly with what you said. They both really care about working with people across the aisle. I mean, as you know, future Senator Sarah Gideon literally got rid of the aisle in the state house, in the Maine State House. So given it sounds like you're really passionate about this race, have you already requested your vote by mail ballot? We want to make sure that the supporters are voting and they know how to vote.
Yeah, I requested it. I haven't.
Okay. Okay, you haven't gotten it yet. Well, once you get it, you should get it with, do you know when you requested it?
I requested it, gosh, I think it was about 4 days ago.
Okay, so you should hopefully get it within the next few days. Please be sure to keep an eye out for it, and then make sure that you sign the back of the ballot and also put 2 stamps on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Clara is in the middle of a great conversation. Notice the way she was walking the voter right through how to vote. That's what we're doing tonight. That's what this is all about. And it's not just volunteers. It's not just the Senate president making phone calls. It's people across the state. And like I said, leaders are so excited to be a part of this campaign. So I'm honored to bring on our next leader. You know her. She's the great leader of our state. Welcome, Governor Janet Mills. Thank you for joining the Biden-A-Thon.
Hi, BJ. This is exciting. Barely 4 weeks now, right? And things are going well, I think, in Maine. But we can't give up. We can't let down our guard. We've got to fight for every vote in both congressional districts and not give up until every vote is counted, too.
That's right, Governor, and you know that better than most. I mean, we're so excited to have you as a leader of our state. You're doing a great job, and you've offered a great contrast of what real leadership looks like in the COVID era. And unfortunately, we haven't seen that from the White House, and it underscores why this November is so important.
Yeah. I'm excited about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because I served with Beau Biden, Joe's son, as Attorney General, and I served with Kamala Harris when she was Attorney General of California. So I knew them both, and I know Kamala to be really a spirited, energetic, smart person, no nonsense. She'll get the job done. And Joe Biden, with his experience and ability to change things and ability to communicate and to listen to people and reflect their concerns. His compassion is endless, and what we've lacked in the last 4 years, truth, trust, and transparency, big time. He will bring that back to the White House.
That's right, Governor. I mean, we are in the battle of the soul of this nation. We say that all the time, and it's because we need leaders like you and like the Vice President that resemble character and leadership in times of crisis. But enough about the Vice President. You don't need to convince me. I'm all in. You too are putting your money where your mouth is. You too are calling Maine voters tonight. So I'm going to not interrupt your dials. Why don't you jump into it?
I will. I'm calling right now. I'm putting it on speaker. Hello, this is not a spam call. Hello.
Hi, my name is Krishan Verma.
Hi, Krishan.
From Lewiston, Maine.
Hi.
Hi there.
This is Governor Janet Mills, Krishan Verna. You're in Lewiston, right?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yes, Governor Mills. Oh, I remember you when you were Attorney General here in Androscoggin County.
Yes.
Bill Hawkins, you remember?
Yes.
You were helping with that election. Yes, I'm his late Bill Hawkins' son-in-law.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Everybody's related in Maine. Everybody's related. You know that? Well, I'm calling you.
Yes.
I know that you're an enthusiastic Biden-Harris supporter. Is that right?
Yes, I am. I have called about 5,000 voters already.
5,000 voters you've called. Holy cow.
Yes,
That's
I'm really,
incredible.
really dedicated for change, for the better.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think the stakes are so high. You know that they're high, and you know that health care is on the ballot this year, and the right to collective bargaining is on the ballot this year. The Supreme Court is on the ballot this year. Reproductive rights, the rights of working men and women are on the ballot. Human rights are on the ballot this year. Equality is on the ballot. Justice is on the ballot. And I'm so proud to be talking to you. 5,000 calls. Holy cow. That is wonderful. I don't want to interrupt your call time. Thank you.
To have you in Augusta.
I'm so glad to count on the support of people like yourself for Biden and Harris and Sarah Gideon, I'm sure, and Jared Golden, the second CD. The second CD in Lewiston and Bangor and all those counties are so important. The race is very tight in the 2nd Congressional District. Thank you for all you're doing.
You're very welcome, Governor.
Right.
I am just so proud, and I'm just to be in this. I'm putting my whole heart and soul into this.
You sure are. All right, we're going to get there. We're going to get over the finish line with your help with people like you, Christian. I'm so pleased to talk to you. Keep the faith and stay safe, okay?
All right, I will do that, Governor.
Keep dialing.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Governor.
Thank you, Governor. That was easy, right?
Who knew?
5,000 calls. I mean, he's just one of hundreds of Mainers making these calls. People are fired up. And like you mentioned, it's because healthcare is on the ballot, right? And we've led on that in Maine, thanks to you. And you've shown what can happen when we elect a real leader on healthcare. So thank you for everything you've done, Governor. We're lucky to have you. And thanks for being a part of Biden-A-Thon tonight.
Thank you. Keep up the good work, BJ, and everybody else.
Hi, Governor. So, wow, 5,000 phone calls. And boy, can you tell. I mean, we are seeing momentum around this state, people on every corner, from Lewiston to Allagash, from Farmington to Eastport. We're seeing people across the state get involved. And it's no secret. There are a lot of things that take this election. And Vice President Biden and Senator Harris have a plan to deliver for Mainers across the state. I want to take a moment just to show a little bit about what the Vice President will do for the seniors of our state. So here's a message about the Vice President's plan for seniors.
Our seniors that are being hit the hardest, they're frightened. And I want them to know that their health and safety will be my responsibility if I'm your president. And I'll have from day one, ready to go, the best medical experts and scientists to advise on our response. And I will not abandon you. It's a simple proposition, folks. We're all in this together. We got to fight this together. We'll emerge from this stronger because we did it together. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Well, there you have it. We're going to come out of this stronger together. Make no mistake about it. Next, I'm really excited to introduce our next guest. Our next guest rose to fame in the sitcom Mad About You, which earned her 3 Golden Globes for Best Actress in a Telephone Series. She is also known for her performances that have brought her musical and comedy 4 Primetime Emmy Awards and Outstanding Lead Actress in Comedy Series. I'm sorry. It seems like we don't have her yet. Sorry, I'm just getting news that we don't have her yet. But we will be excited to welcome Helen Hunt as our next guest. But before we welcome Helen Hunt, I do want to just take a moment and reflect on the Vice President's vision for this country. He has a plan that is going to put us on a new track, a new direction, and you don't need to take it from me. I want to play this next video for you to highlight the Vice President's plan and vision for America.
This is our chance to put the darkness of the past 4 years behind us, to end the anger, the insults, the division, and start fresh in America.
I don't pledge allegiance to red states of America or blue states of America. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America. I'm going to fight as hard for those who supported me as those who did not support me. We have a chance to put anger and division that overtaken this country behind us. And we can. We've done it so many times in our history. We've begun anew. We can get control of this virus. We can reward work. We can make healthcare affordable. We can be a safe and just nation. We can deal with the existential threat of climate change. We can be what we are at our best. One nation, one people, one America. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
It's an important message. It's this idea that together we can be better. And we've heard it from Senate President Jackson. We've heard it from Governor Mills. In Maine, we've shown what happens when leaders come together. But unfortunately, that is not the leadership we've seen in the White House. We need to restore the dignity of America. We need to come back to the day when we have an ability to work across the aisle. And it's been too long since we've seen that in Washington, D.C. Before we turn to Helen Hunt, I want to bring my friend Henry Beck on the line. Henry has been doing a lot of things for the campaign, and he's going to be making some phone calls for us in a little bit, but I want to bring him on so he can talk a little bit about what he's seen from the campaign at this point. So, Henry, can you just talk a little bit about some of the energy you're seeing out in the field? I mean, you're the state treasurer, so you get all over the state. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure, BJ. And I'm really excited to be here. And as a state treasurer, it's sort of my job not to get excited about things. But this isn't a very important election. Just as an example, and, you know, like the governor and like Troy Jackson, I'm trying to walk the walk. When I finish my day job, I call almost every night. I call voters in Maine. Last week, I called Oxford County. So people will know where that is, places like Rumford and Bethel. Not always a very Democratic area, right? But I was making calls. I spoke to a woman in her 70s who said that she was, for the first time, voting Democrat all the way down from Joe Biden and Sarah Gideon to down the ticket. And, you know, she was going to do that, but it meant a lot to her, I think, that a real live person called and listened and spoke to her. And I got to say, your comments just a few moments ago about just getting things done and being a leader, not to be a boring state treasurer tonight, but last night, the chairman of the Federal Reserve told us, he warned us all, that if Washington doesn't sort of get their act together and do something for another round of relief, we're going to face an economic tragedy. And it's going to affect not just, you know, it's not really going to affect the very, very wealthy, but working people here in Maine. So that's why I'm calling. That's why I'm going to call tonight. And I've got the number of this voter I'm going to call right now. Let's hope he answers. I'm going to put it on speakerphone for you. Whoops. All right, let's see. The
number you have dialed.
Oops. That happens.
Well, that happens when you make phone calls, Treasurer Beck. I think we're going to pause on that phone call for a second. We've all been there. We've all made that dial. Before we make any more phone calls, I do want to talk to you a little bit about some of the experience you have campaigning. You're not just a state treasurer, which is an incredibly important job. It's elected by the legislature, but you too have run for office, especially important area, Waterville, which is like many of these other places in the state. It goes both ways. It goes Democrat, Republican. But you served in the House there for 4 terms, and I want you to share with us a little bit about what the secret sauce is to winning a place like Waterville.
I think it involves a lot of the things that Chasten Buttigieg talked about earlier. It really is about keeping things personal and respectful. It's amazing. Voters really want to be listened to. They actually want to have these conversations. Here we are in October, and I know there are a lot of TV ads. And I know that people who are active in the party, you know, we're getting asked to do a lot all the time. But it's so important with less than 30 days out, we take the time after work, after school, give an hour every day, make personal contacts with voters who you don't know. But it's amazing what you have in common with people when you listen. And it's amazing. People want to be asked for their vote. So it's important, again, make those calls. It's not just about TV ads. It's not just about posting on Facebook and Twitter, which, hey, that's important too. But people are out there living their lives. They want to have a conversation, Mainer to Mainer, about the future of their country and the future of the state.
That's a great point. And those conversations are critical, as you said. And I'm hoping that you might be able to try again, to try with another dial and see if we can connect with somebody.
That's right. And if it doesn't go through the first time, do it again. So let's see if this works this time. Here we go. Hey, is Noah there?
Yes.
Hey, Noah, this is Henry Beck, Maine State Treasurer. How are you doing tonight?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. It's a big night. So reason I'm calling you, I'll get right to the point. I'm calling with this telethon for Joe Biden. We're calling voters all across Maine. And I got to ask you, if you don't mind telling me, are you supporting Joe Biden this year?
Yes, sir.
You are? You're enthusiastic?
Yes.
Great. Well, it's good to know you're a supporter. Do you think, maybe you've already done this, but do you think you could help out with the campaign too by making some calls like I'm doing tonight?
I am actually a volunteer with the Maine State Democrats in Washington County. I'm part of the Dem leadership team, and I'm working with Sarah Kasha.
That's excellent. How are you guys doing up there, Washington County?
It's really interesting. We're doing quite well. It's really interesting. The support up here is quite, well, I did not expect to have this much Biden support. There's a lot of Trump support up here, but I'm really impressed.
Yeah, every vote counts, and we have to work everywhere. Just because it's an area that hasn't always been Democratic, we got to ask people for their vote, and and I thank you for doing that, because I know it's not always easy. But if we all do our part, we can make a difference, and we can win this election. So.
Yeah, definitely.
And have you? And I'm sure you'll vote, but have you made a plan to vote yet?
I'm actually unable to vote. I'm 17. I can't vote. I just outside the window to vote.
Do you guys hear that? Noah is 17 years old, making calls, can't vote yet, but you're making a difference this way. Noah, that's really great. You're putting us all to shame.
Well, anything I can do to bring some stability back to our government.
Yep, totally.
Something I'm willing to do.
And it's going to be year 17. Even though you can't vote this year, it's really your future that's on the line more than anyone else. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Well, good. Well, any final thoughts or anything you wanted to share with me? Any good anecdotes from making calls in Washington County? Any really good calls? We want only good calls.
There have been some really interesting, great calls that I've had from some folks that you would not expect to hear it from. I called up that gentleman. I believe he was. I don't know exactly what his background was, but I called him up and he said something to the effect of that. And the older gentleman, he said, "Look, this might be my last time, last chance to vote, but my goodness, I'm going to make a difference." And I thought that was really incredible that, that everyone, young and old, has come together to support Joe Biden and Sarah Gideon and the whole crew. Really transcending generations. I thought that was fantastic.
Well, that you give us hope, Noah. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, keep working. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Alrighty.
Well, that's a great call. You're right. He is only 17 years old, and he's making dials. We've heard from people in Lewiston that are making 5,000 phone calls. Now we've heard people from Washington County who are making phone calls at 17. And Henry, you got involved at a young age too. So, you've got a unique perspective for that, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm gonna reveal myself. I was a total dork. I was definitely making phone calls at 17. It's how I got involved in politics. It's how I started my career. You got to start early and not be afraid to do that work on the ground like Noah is doing, like so many other people.
That's right.
And you learn a lot too. It gives you the experience and the knowledge to do well, improve people's lives.
That's right. And you've got to do it all across the state, right? whether that's Waterville or Washington County. It's important to do it everywhere. I myself am from Oxford County, so it's all about reaching Mainers wherever they are. I don't want to just lay it out talking about the state treasurer making phone calls. I don't want to just talk about the governor making phone calls. I don't want to just talk about the Senate president making phone calls. I want to talk about you making phone calls, the voters, talking to other people. And there's nobody who knows more about how easy that is and how they can get you more involved than our organizer in Waldo County. And I'm really happy to turn it over to her. And she's going to talk a little bit about volunteering right now.
Hello, my name is Isa Gerasi, and I'm a field organizer here in Maine for the Maine Democrats. I am an organizer in Waldo County with my lovely co-organizer, and we work with a team of volunteers and volunteer leaders every single day to do everything in our control to elect Joe Biden, to elect Sarah Gideon, and every single Democrat up and down our ticket here in Waldo County and throughout the state. I originally got involved in this race because I felt like my life, but also the lives of people I know, people in my family, and also people I don't know, were on the line. And the gravity of that just felt too immense for me to sit on the sidelines and to not get involved. Simply when our access to affordable health care, I'm 24, I'm very worried about having access to healthcare, especially in this economy, in this environment. I also know that there are people who have their rights being affected every single day throughout this country. People who are incarcerated and are fighting for access to civil rights. People who are immigrants who are being locked up. There are too many lives on the line. People who are sick from this virus. And it's not right. And after spending so much time, working on this race, I've met so many people who have just filled me with optimism, and know that there are so many people who agree that this fight is too important to stay on the sidelines. There are too many people that we need to advocate for. So we need you to get involved. We need you to help us here in Maine and throughout the country and throughout the state to knock on a door if you are able to do that. We need you to tell your friends to vote and make sure that they have a plan to vote. And we also need you to help us phone bank. So here in Maine, you can find all of these options on our website, my.mainedems.org. You can also get in touch with your local organizer, your local Democrats, and get involved. I know that I certainly do not want to wake up on election day feeling like there's one more thing that we could have done to win this election, and we didn't do it. We need you. There are too many people to talk to for me to talk to on my own, for our volunteers who are already involved to talk to. There are just too many people. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. Please sign up at my.mainedems.org. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. It's that easy to get involved. And I've got to say that I've seen people make phone calls all night. I think I'm going to go ahead and make a phone call myself right now. Let's see how it goes. Hello, is this Norma?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Norma. This is BJ McCollister. I'm the Deputy State Director for the Biden campaign. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm giving you a call tonight because, as you may have heard, we're doing the Biden-A-Thon, which is a virtual telethon event where we're talking to voters across the state. We're streaming this call live to Facebook and YouTube. And I wanted to call you to ask you probably the most important question that's on everyone's mind. Are you supporting Vice President Biden this November?
Absolutely, 150%. Can't wait to get my ballot and go walk it down to the town office.
That's awesome. So you've got a plan to vote. You're supporting the vice president, and it's going to take all of us on this campaign. What are you doing to make sure that we can elect Vice President Biden this November?
Well, I have a Women for Biden Facebook group in Maine.
I love that group.
That's my group.
We love Maine Women for Biden, and we've got a great group. Thank you for everything you're doing, and you're down east, is that right?
Yes, I'm in Steuben, so I'm in the middle of down east, I think.
That's great. That's great. And so you've been talking to a lot of voters, particularly folks within the Women for Biden group. Can you tell me about how people are reacting to the vice president?
They're really excited. They can't wait to vote. They were like, couldn't wait to get their yard signs out. They couldn't wait to get their bumper stickers. They couldn't wait to get their ballots. They're really excited about getting decency back in the White House, honestly.
I absolutely believe that. And as you may have heard, it's not just voters in Washington County and Hancock County. It's voters across the state. You know, we talked to a voter today in Lewiston on the telethon that has talked to more than 5,000 voters. So there's a lot of energy out there.
Yeah, I'm really hopeful and saying my prayers because we need our democracy back.
Well, Norma, thanks so much for everything you're doing for us. We so appreciate you. I can't wait to hop on the Maine Women for Biden Facebook group and throw some likes on there. What's the best thing I can do to help you in your efforts today?
Send people our way to Maine Women for Biden on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. I also do friend banking, and we have a training for Down East on Thursday nights at 6:30. Come and join me there. Volunteer. Just step up and volunteer.
That's great. Well, there you have it. Get out your phone, go on Facebook, everybody, and join Maine Women for Biden. Find them on Twitter, find them on Instagram, and sign up for this friend bank training because this is how we're going to win this election in November. Norma, thanks for everything that you're doing for us.
Oh, it is my joy. Thank you.
Have a great night. Well, that was easy, and I hope you sign up to do it too. There's a link at the bottom of the screen. Visit my.maindems.org to sign up to volunteer for this campaign. And sadly, I'm sorry to share that we're unable to be joined by Helen Hunt. She sends her best to Maine. We've hit some technical difficulties in the era of Zoom. I know we've all been there and we've all seen it. But I, for one, am feeling very excited seeing all of these great phone calls coming from elected leaders across the state. And make sure you tune into the vice presidential debate tonight. There's no question about it that Senator Harris is ready to put the Trump record front and center in tonight's discussion. And together, if we all sign up to volunteer, if we all reach out to our friends, if we all do our part and make sure we vote, we will win in November. We will restore the soul of this nation. So before you wrap up tonight, there are three things we have to ask of you. First, text Maine to 30330 to join the campaign. Again, that's text Maine to 30330 to join the campaign. Next, we want you to sign up to volunteer. Sign up to volunteer at my.maindems.org. You saw folks across this state, from volunteers to the governor, make phone calls, and we need you to do the same. Sign up for 1 or 2 shifts per week from now until the election. That's just 8 hours, and we need you to do your part. So go to my.maindems.org to sign up to volunteer. And then finally, of course, none of this matters if you aren't able to vote, so make sure you make a plan to vote. Visit votemaine.com. To make a plan to vote. And on there, you can find out how easy it is to vote in Maine. And hey, if you're like Chasten Buttigieg or if you're like BJ McCollister, you might even plan your own donut when you make that plan to vote and give yourself a little extra something to look forward to. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Make sure you vote, make sure you volunteer, and make sure you encourage your friends and family to volunteer as well. We're so lucky to have you on this campaign. Now let's get to work and win in November. Thank you all.